on the other one, you bastard!
I am a massive Blackout fan. Blackout was the first toy I ever got as a kid, and although I do prefer Grindor's colour scheme, he is still a remarkable figure with amazing engineering, especially for 2007. Yeah, the arms are kinda shit, but he's still pretty damn good. So later, just before I fell out of collecting Transformers in my brief period where I was too old for it, Dark of the Moon releases, and I see they are updating Blackout, and I am so excited for it, yet I don't buy it. For some reason, I just didn't have enough money at the time, or I prioritized other figures. Guess it just happened. But now, as an adult, I finally have a chance to get him and see if he was worth the hype. So how good is he? How did they manage to improve on an already amazing Legion figure? Well, let's take a look. Already off to an incredibly strong start with the vehicle mode. Jesus Christ, what an amazing vehicle mode we have here. It's a little bit darker than the color he had in the film, but I guess that's a good way to differentiate him from 07 Blackout, despite the fact that as far as I recall, he never appeared in Dark of the Moon, so it's kind of weird they gave him this toy, but whatever. But the amount of detail they have here, and the way that they crammed all this transformation in, it is remarkable. The cockpit section, oh man, that is a beautiful cockpit section with a lot of paint. Lovely black, lovely silver, properly defined outward wings here, wonderful silver engine block here. As far as the vehicle mode is concerned, they learned a lot from the original and really built upon it. Like bringing in Grindor from my childhood, because my Blackout's kind of still missing the propeller there. I got two of them and I can't find the one that has the rotation propeller, so I'll just use Grindor for now. You can see this one made a lot of sacrifices to the design to try and make it transform better, because it was the first movie. This is a first movie design that was reissued in 2009 as Grindor, so yeah, not quite screen accurate. And look, I don't care about screen accuracy, but what they have here is absolutely beautiful. Even got paint on some of these engines here, which is something you wouldn't really notice. Just one teeny tiny problem. One thing you do notice, because it's painted silver, the hands. I really wish these weren't painted so that they actually blended into the body more, because everything else looks fantastic. But these are really, really distracting. This could have been amazing, but that's just the one little thing there. And one other flaw that I find with it, you try to rotate the propellers, it's not great. Now, if the propellers are all straight, it's fine, there's enough clearance, just enough clearance. But when you have this in the packaging, sometimes the propellers come out warped. And I know for a fact that when I bought this, it had barely been messed with, so it was like this out of the packaging. Meaning that, yeah, you can't go swoosh, 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 swoosh with the propellers, which is very unfortunate. That's something the original has you beat with. That one just does it with no problem. Still, overall, I do find it a much better helicopter mode. It looks utterly fantastic. If you want a Mon Commander Legends Blackout for the vehicle mode, this is the one to go with. Not like there are any other options anyway, but this is better. And here's another cool thing from the mind of John Warden, because John Warden was the one who actually spearheaded the Dark of the Moon Cyberverse line. Every Commander class figure came with a transformable weapon. And what kind of transformable weapon do we get here? Why, it's Scorponok, of course. This is alright. It's not amazing, could definitely use some bronze, but it's a Legends figure, what do you expect? There are budgets to adhere to. Do like that they painted the face silver. It's a bit difficult to see, but the sculpting is there. Not really a fan of the rubbery plastic they've got going here, but at least it's a more durable rubbery plastic than the 07 movie, which became brittle and broke after a while. Yeah, that stuff is basically GPS in everything but name. And a nice little feature, they do allow for storage. You've got a peg on there and a slot there. I kind of wish it was a bit more sturdy on the underside, and especially because it feels like it's stretching the plastic a bit. And it does have a tendency to make him back heavy, so he kind of slopes a bit, but it's a very nice feature to have. Anyway, Scorponok actually has 2 points of articulation on the tail, which does allow you to get some decent poses. It's roughly the same as the Studio Series version. Anyway, size-wise, Scorponok is roughly 3 centimeters wide, 4 centimeters long with the tail up, and 8.5 centimeters long with the tail down. Meanwhile, Blackout is roughly 4.5 centimeters wide, 13 centimeters long, and 3.5 centimeters tall, with a propeller span of 11 centimeters. And for size comparisons, here he is next to a standard Legion figure, a standard Legends figure, a standard Earthrise Micromaster, and Crumbs. Transformation is actually pretty unique. The first thing you want to do is rotate these down, just like he did in the movie, and they did it. They finally got the V-fin on a small scale figure. Brilliant. You kind of disconnect this and rotate it out a bit. This section rotates inwards and back onto that. Separate the arms and rotate this whole section out. Untab the feet from back here and bring him down. After rotating these whole bits out, you can rotate this section around and up, and of course keeping that down. You then bring the chest into place there. The legs rotate forward like so. The feet come down like so. The heel spurs come down like so. He's got very big feet. These side panels just sit around, but these bits come around to the front. Then you bring the arms around and into place like so, and you're basically done. And we were almost there. It almost was great. Had a brilliant transformation and a brilliant helicopter mode, but looking at this, it's just kind of... There's a lot of cool stuff they did here. The paint's magnificent. decent. They've tried to make him as stable as possible, but it doesn't really work that well, but at least they tried. But look at the proportions. Look at these flaps here. They just feel unfinished. These feel like they should clip around to the sides here to fully fit in. But it's almost as if the budget was cut, and trying to pose this guy is difficult. A lot of it just does not work. I mean, you can fold these around for the stability, and it does kind of work in terms of keeping him standing, but then he looks knock-kneed and weird. And then the propeller's always getting in the way here, so you have to fold it out as a weapon, and it's nice that he's got the weapon, but it doesn't peg in because it pegs into the other arm. It just, in general, it's a messy Commander figure, and I'm talking about Cyberverse Commander, not Modern Commander. Just getting everything to stay in place and getting him to stand is a pain in the arse. Like bringing in the 2007-2009 version. Yeah, not perfect, but at least it stands. Yeah, the arms are a bit wonky, but at least the proportions are pretty great for the most part. Yeah, both of them have fantastic paints, but the structural integrity is much better on the old one. That's pretty sad, to be honest. I wanted this to be the perfect update to the first figure I got when I was collecting in the franchise, but in the end, it's just a mess. Again, there are things to like. The alt mode is great, the transformation is great, and the paintwork on both modes is pretty darn good. And the Scorponok functionality is kind of neat too. You do get to fold this section out and then peg the whole thing together to make a gun. It's daft as hell, but I really like it. It differentiates him from other Blackouts on the market because the Scorponok isn't just a random accessory, it is his gun. But again, getting him to stand with it, impossible. A Transformer should fundamentally be able to stand no matter what the size class is, and this is a hard surface, so it shouldn't be this difficult. Also, the way he's packaged in box has him like this with these splayed out, but that just looks daft. Articulation is fine, I guess. You got the arms, ball joints here, a bend at the elbow, and an elbow swivel. Would have been nice to get a bicep swivel instead, but I guess that's okay. Not like any of these bits stay in place, they constantly fall out. The tabs here, they just do not work. Ball jointed hips, bend at the knee, and a knee swivel due to transformation. Yeah, and a thigh swivel would have been better, but I guess whatever. And then these bits you can move them to try and make him stand better, but he doesn't. Size-wise, he's about 8 centimeters tall, 6 centimeters wide. He's too wide, man. He should be much, much thinner. And of course, you got your standard Legion figure, your standard Legends figure, your standard Earthrise Micromaster, and Crumbs. Just a slight topple, and he goes. That's this figure in a nutshell. Should have been great, but he's not. It's disappointing, but what are you gonna do? This figure could have been fantastic. The alt mode is lush, and the transformation is extremely clever, but perhaps too clever. They put so much effort into the transformation that the robot mode suffers on several accounts. The most important being, he can barely stand. That should be action figure 101. Regardless of whether it's a transformer or not, it should be able to stand on its own 2 feet without the use of a stand. Not that that's gonna happen because there's no stand port anyway. I can't understand. And then there's the proportional issues, and then there's the solidity issues, and it's not the worst thing ever, but it's definitely disappointing, even ignoring my attachment to the original mold. Honestly, as a Legends fan, unless you want a Legends vehicle mode for Blackout, then there's no reason to get this. And even then, it's a military vehicle. There should be several model kits and die-cast vehicles for you to choose from. I can't imagine this vehicle mode is that hard to find outside of Transformers. And even then, that defeats the purpose of Legends figures. Small, easy-to-transform figures that you can keep on your desk. So, this figure kind of fails on several accounts. It just isn't worth it. I really wish this had been good, but ultimately it isn't. But I'm not losing any sleep, I'll just move on with my life. Onward to better things, I suppose, like collecting the most elusive of Legion figures. So, I guess I'll see you tomorrow.